So, hello everyone. Who here knows about Apache Kafka? I know, rhetorical question, but still I had to ask. And how many of you know about OpenTelemetry? Good. So this is going to be a very interactive session. I'm not just going to talk. I'm going to let you tell me what it is I'm talking about. So just a safe harbor, all the information in this presentation is purely for informational sake and don't hold New Relic accountable for anything that I'm going to say here. Um, Hold me accountable, but don't sue me. I don't have money. So I am a software engineer with New Relic. I've been with them for about 3-4 years now. And I'm happy to connect over LinkedIn, Twitter. That's my handle, Mehreen Tahir16. And yeah, let's start. So should I just skip the Apache Kafka introduction? Because many people know it. If anybody would like to contribute any answer, what is Apache Kafka? I don't know. You guys are the expert. Please tell me.
Streaming ISO.
Yeah, yeah. There you have. Quick and easy answer. So let's skip it. Skip it. Anybody want to tell me what is OpenTelemetry?
It's a kind of a standard that helps you to export the recently data between logs and events. And it's just the standard so that you don't need to implement vendor specific case to export the data.
Yeah, so it's a CNCF project. Basically, what they're trying to do is standardize telemetry. So instead of giving you a vendor specific SDK or something, they're giving you a set of libraries, SDK, and all the other tools. So you can build one standardized telemetry solution for yourself. You just need to configure it once, and then you can choose any of the telemetry providers on the backend. You can choose to send your data to any of the providers and see it there. Yeah, basically just standardizing and open sourcing how we software engineers use telemetry. Um, like I mentioned, it's vendor neutral, so it gives you the flexibility of choosing any of the backend providers. So whether you want to send your data to New Relic, to Datadog, to any of the other providers, you can do that. It's interoperable, so it gives you end-to-end visibility, gives you traces, matrix, logs, everything that you need, and it's pretty configurable. Depending on what you want, you can choose from different instrumentation methods and go from there. We all know why people are talking more and more about OpenTelemetry, because first it's open standard, so more and more people can join in. Then like I mentioned, you need to instrument it once, and even if you're changing from one vendor to the other, you don't have to go back into your code and make specific changes, so that's helpful. Then it gives you easier governance across your code. So good to have it. A quick snapshot of how OpenTelemetry actually works is, like I mentioned, it gives you language and framework specific SDKs, which basically acts as a translator. So it's going to capture the telemetry from your application, transform it in a way that the observability platforms will understand. So just capturing all that data through receivers. So this receiver will be responsible for getting all the data using these language specific SDKs and transforming it. Processor actually takes that data and transforms it into whatever way you want. This is the stage where we define if we want to batch the traces and matrix and send it to the backend, or if we want to encrypt it, if we want to decorate it, if we want to drop some of the data, that will be defined at the processor stage. An exporter is going to take all that data, processed, at the previous stage and send it to any of the backend of your choosing. And that's actually the power of open telemetry, because you have like different components working together and gives you a lot of flexibility at each and every stage to choose instrument and use the data the way you want it. So I know, just not me, but you might have heard a lot about OpenTelemetry recently, and it's great. But do you think there are any drawbacks of using OpenTelemetry, or there are any consideration that we need to think about before we actually move to using OpenTelemetry?
Yeah, so one of the greatest drawback that I would see is like you might have to wait for the maintenance to fix it. Is there any vulnerabilities? Like any proprietary support like how with the software that of the company. So that might be one of the challenges in case of banking company. Because we are trying to use this kind of technology, we need to have a support from the maintenance to fix the vulnerabilities. That is one of the key challenges.
Yeah, because it is open standard, it's mostly backed by the community and other telemetry providers. So, for example, New Relic is a big supporter of open telemetry and investing a lot. But again, that is not the end goal for any of the companies right now. So you have to wait for any of the vulnerabilities to be fixed, for maintenance, for all of those things. Um, Also, another interesting thing is there are quite a lot of options when it comes to instrumentation with the open telemetry. The standard one is just auto instrumentation, which is pretty similar to how you would use any of the telemetry agents, like from New Relic or Datadog. All you do is follow some instructions, download an agent, put it in the root directory of your application, and it starts sending data. That happens with open telemetry as well. So easy enough. But if you want granular details to be sent to your telemetry provider, or if there's specific processes that you want to monitor, then you have to go into your code and make the changes for that trace to be captured. And I think that just adds a lot more complexity for a developer who's already thinking about code, and now they have to think about what trace has to be sent as well. So that's a tricky part. And yeah, so I think, yeah, design consideration involves this trade-off, whether you want to go with the auto instrumentation or the manual instrumentation. Auto instrumentation is as simple as just going to a bakery, getting a cake, right? Whatever is available there, you don't get a say in that. Manual instrumentation, you can customize everything from the scratch. So pretty handy to have only if you know that much about telemetry and you understand your entire code base. So what I'm going to show you is both ways of instrumenting application. We'll use a Java application. It'll be quick and easy if anybody wants to follow, or they just want to go home and check this repo out. Here's a link to the repo. My colleague Harry was kind enough to create this quick demo for us. It uses, again, Java and OpenTelemetry to show how you can do both type of instrumentation and what kind of matrix you get. And this is a Kafka-based application. I forgot to mention that. Okay, so automatic instrumentation. I'm thinking if I can now move into, mirroring my screen and show you guys. Just go down, entire screen. Okay. So you'll see what I'm seeing here. Right. So I'm in the repo that I showed you guys. This is just a clone, don't worry about it. And what you'll see here is an OpenTelemetry Java agent.jar. This file is available on the internet. You can just, Google. Can everyone see this now? Better. Yeah? Okay. So what I'm doing here is I just downloaded the OpenTelemetry Java agent, and I'm going to use that to send telemetry back to New Relic, and I'll show you the kind of matrix you get in there, right? So, for example, if I'm talking about a Kafka producer, we have a simple script which we'll use here. And in this script, what we're doing is we are just setting this Java agent as an environment variable. Like when running the application, we want to make sure that the application can actually pick that agent up. So you just need to define the path to the Java agent of OpenTelemetry. You also define what type of telemetry you want. So in this case, we want the traces, matrix, and logs, all of them. And then you need to define the endpoint as well. In this case, it is New Relic, and you'll see two of the endpoints. The first one that I'm using is for US region, and the other one is for EU. So depending on what type of account you have, you can choose one or the other endpoint. Then we also have New Relic API key, which you can sign up. You get free 100 GB per month, which is quite a lot of data that you can, if you're using like a pet project or something, you won't run out of this data anytime soon. So that's good enough. And then the service name for this application is Kafka Java Producer. So I'm just gonna go ahead and run this and see if we'll see any data in New Relic. And just not for the producer, we are doing the same thing for consumer as well. We're using the Java agent here as well. You'll see all of the environment variables are set the same. So for each of the service that you want to report, you only need to set traces. If you want all of them, you need to set all of them. Without this, OpenTelemetry wouldn't know what kind of telemetry you want, right? So we have, again, a New Relic endpoint. We're setting the headers using the New Relic license key, defining the service name, blah, blah, blah. Let's go ahead and run this as well. And lastly, we have a service which is using all of them. So let's run it. So once you have applications up and running, it's a simple test that we want to use to create some traffic. So I'm just gonna send a few requests and hopefully, yeah. So 200 means it went through request. It's a simple request. It should, yeah. Okay, so a few of them. And now let's see if we'll see any of the data in New Relic. Done. Okay. It takes about 30 to 60 seconds, I think, for data to show up. So let me just go into all entities. Yep, let's go here. So let's just look at the producer because that's what we were talking about, right? Okay, I'm just gonna set it to like until we get the fresh data. So for the Kafka producer, these are all APM related metrics. So if you're not interested, that's fine. We can just literally move into the Kafka and see what kind of metrics we have available. So Kafka related metrics, here we have average outgoing byte rate, we have total outgoing byte rate, request per seconds, average request in flight, average request latency. Anybody can tell me if they think any of these metrics are helpful for them in their daily use? Yeah? No?
Yes.
Yeah? Which metric do you think is helpful and why? Why would you look at it?
Request rate, so I know my TPS, etc. So I can do configuration.
Yeah, that's helpful for the configuration. Anybody else? No? Okay, well, you guys are the
so that I can tune my timeouts for latency, etc.
yeah. What will happen if the latency is high?
Then my end-to-end processing is slow.
Yeah, and that can create problems because Kafka is used as a speedy message board, right? So if the latency is very high, then your services are gonna end up slow, and slow services are always bad. The other thing that we're interested in here is the distributed tracing, because we set the traces as well. So these are matrix and all, but let's look at the traces we're getting. Okay, let's go into the latest one. So the app that I showed you is very simple, and we just have one service there, which is orders, just for the demo sake. And this is the request that we sent from our application, a post request to orders, if you remember here. So we have a post request, which is just placing an order. So let's look at the trace. This is an entity map. Can you all see it? So we can see that our trace started from Kafka producer, which made a call to the Kafka Java consumer, which made further calls to the downstream services. So this way you get a bird's eye view of where your trace starts and ends. If you want more details, you have a timeline of this trace as well. So at each step, how long this trace took, you can see all of that here. So if I'm expanding all of it, let's see. Anybody see any problem in this trace? Or do you think that this is good enough? It gives you all the information that you might need from a trace.
Uninstrumented time? The uninstrumented time bucket?
Yeah, we have about 3 seconds from this single trace that we have no idea where it is pending. Is it good? Like 3 seconds delay is good or bad? Bad. We don't even know where it spent all this time in. And if we don't know, then how are we gonna find out if it's a genuine delay or if there's something wrong with our service? It could be 3 seconds, it could be 6 seconds, we don't know, but there is some uninstrumented time in this case. Yeah. So for example, 42 milliseconds. We wouldn't care about 42 milliseconds, but if it goes up, then obviously it'll be a problem. So for that level of detail, we have, let's go back. Okay, I'm just gonna have to kill all of these services. We have manual instrumentation, which gives you a lot more control into everything, because you get to decide which trace you want, where you want, and how you want it. Yeah, okay. So these are different branches. So for the auto instrumentation, you have OTL Auto Instrument Workshop kind of branch. And for the manual one, you have OTL Manual Instrumentation, right? Anybody who manually instrumented any of the OpenTelemetry applications? Can you tell us the process, what you had to do to get the instrumentation and get all the matrix in?
I didn't do that bit. Someone else did that bit. We just we define our own schema of
Okay.
the events and we commit them into logs.
Okay. Good enough. So I'll show you, which is not gonna look pretty. Let me tell you. Yeah. So when you are you're auto instrumenting your application, simple enough, right? What we did, we just set up one environment variable and we were good to go. That's not the case with manual instrumentation. Like I mentioned before, when we're talking about manual instrumentation, we have to make changes in our code base for OpenTelemetry to capture all those metrics. So what we're doing here is the very first step, we need to set SDK tracer provider, which sets the base for all of our manual instrumentation. It basically defines how we are going to process our, in this case, we're just talking about tracing, okay? So how we are going to set the tracing, how it will be sent, where it will be sent, and all of that. So here we initiated our SDK tracer provider. We added a span processor, which will contain all of the information about processing and sending the data. So here we are saying, okay, let's process these spans in batch, which is efficient. Like you don't want to send all of them all at once, like as they're created. That just, it's not very efficient. So usually we process these spans in batches. Then you're also using gRPC span exporter here. Who has worked with gRPC? Yeah, so pretty standard. Then you set the endpoint, which is again OTel endpoint. Oh, yeah. Let me show you where we defined these OTLP endpoint. So another difference is instead of attaching the agent at the runtime, we have to define the application properties, and that's where we define the endpoints and what other information, like any headers that we want to set. So I'm here in application.properties where I'm defining the OTel endpoint and setting the header as well. So going back here, we're just using that OTLP endpoint, and we are also setting the headers. Once this is done, then we go into defining the configurations of how our producer will use it. So producer factory, anybody know what it is? No? I thought you guys worked with Kafka. No? Don't leave me hanging. Like, I'm not the expert in Kafka. I'm only here to talk about OpenTelemetry. So anyway, since I'm here to talk about OpenTelemetry, I'll just focus on that. We are defining how, let me just backtrace it. We are going to define the tracing producer interceptor here. What this interceptor does is it takes all the messages that the producer will produce and it initiate the trace from there. We need to define how this interceptor would work. So in this producer configuration, we have a lot of other sort of configuration like bootstrap server config, key serialization, value serialization, JSON, and all of the other things. But basically, this part of the code will be responsible for capturing all your producer-related stuff. The same we need to do with the consumer side things as well. So yeah, we also have the tracing consumer interceptor, which is doing the exactly same thing, taking all the messages will go through this interceptor. It is going to intercept all the messages for it to be able to communicate to the backend. So we defined the SDK, we defined the producer side configuration, producer interceptor, we defined the consumer interceptor, and that gives you a high level overview of all the messages that are being produced, consumed, but not the granular detail that we were looking for. For that, you'll have to make changes further and set up exactly where you want your trace. And where was it? Demo application service? Yeah. Yes. Logger provider. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go back to slide to just check where it was. Okay. We already went through all of this. Interceptor. Yeah. So tracer.span builder. Yeah, I'm looking for spans here. Okay. Actually, so these are all the spans that we have defined, and you can see how many of them are. Let's just take a look at this order consumer one. So we are defining one for creating order listener. Basically, each step that you need a trace of, you'll have to wrap it in this span builder. The one that we are specifically interested in is here. So again, we are wrapping a span called execute long running task, and I'll let you know why we are focusing on this one. But we're defining a span name just so we can identify it later when we are actually executing it. And then we're also, you see how many span builders we are using just in this one. So we are using one here, which is execute long running task. But then if we want a further down level detail, we need to use another span builder. That's what happened when you're manually instrumenting it. So in the interest of time, I'll just quickly try to run these and show you what is happening here. So same, once it's running, let's just send a few requests that should be going in. Let's go back to New Relic. Okay. Still the producer. So let's see. We have in the past 6 hours. Let's go into distributed tracing. This is where most of the fun stuff happens. And no, not the 15 minutes ago. Anybody remembers this one? Send, create, order event. No? That was the first span that I quickly just ran through. Anyway. Show in process. Do you recognize these spans? So, execute long running task was the one that I focused on. Then why the heck do we sleep here? Some tiny tasks, all of these. So all of these has span builders associated with them, and only then they're able to report individual data back to whatever telemetry platform you're using. And those 3-second delay that we saw was actually just a sleep call. And we didn't know what was happening there, although it was intentional on our part for the demo's sake. But here, we actually know where those 3 seconds are going. So does it make sense now? Auto instrumentation, yes, you get good high-level overview of your process, start to end, but not granular details. With the manual instrumentation, you have to work a little bit extra hard, but you get granular information as well. Any questions so far? No?
Is there not a better way to not pollute your code like that? Wouldn't you like have an abstract annotation or something?
Like,
in OTel?
not.
You're declaring spans in
Yeah.
the code itself, but surely there's a way to configure that with like an abstract way in a configuration file to say start a span at this point in my code.
No. Not at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
How expensive is that offload? Because you're doing it on Intersect now, which you're on the critical part of the account service. So if that's taking like 10 seconds to register, so 10 milliseconds to
Yeah.
register, so the latency's got up with the joke.
So, like, expensive on what part? Observability part, consumer part, or just for the
In terms
platform?
of reduced latency performance platform. So I'm trying to send as many messages as I can into that bit.
Right.
Now spending an extra 10 milliseconds to register telemetry on there, that's going to significantly affect my output. Like that.
Maybe you all wait. Okay, that's one way to tell me that I ran over time.
You can configure it so that you don't trace every message. You do sampling. So
Yeah.
you might only trace 1% or a tenth of a percent. Because you're right, if you trace every individual event,
Then that's
it's
gonna
expensive.
definitely cost you a lot. Yeah. And then also sending every message to the backend, doesn't matter what telemetry platform you're using, that's gonna cost you in terms of ingestion cost as well. So sampling is usually the best way, and usually people just use random sampling. Yeah. We looked at the matrix that we get from the producer side. You have all the same matrix available from the consumer side as well. There are some infrastructure related matrix as well, but I'm afraid there something else is gonna happen if I don't wrap up fast. So yeah, exciting times. Open telemetry is growing, but you need to be very mindful and consider the trade-off if you want to use a custom proprietary agent from any of the telemetry providers or open telemetry. Both have their own pros and cons. And I'm happy to take this conversation offline. Yep.